What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So we're covering a new face from the New York Jets 2023 practice squad. And this might quite literally be the biggest guy in the NFL. The New York Jets went out and signed themselves an absolute mammoth of a man at the tackle position in UCF's Ryan Swoboda. Now, considering the fact that from a size perspective, he's bigger than Mekhi Becton, it's crazy to kind of see what that will look like walking out onto the field. But this is your classic case of a guy with, elite physical gifts that he will bring to the table, and obviously being able to survive on the strength of that throughout his college career. Lacks a lot of technical refinement. So this is a guy, much like with Jason Poe, right? If you can get him refined in even just a handful of areas, you're talking about a potential steal of an option here. And for the New York Jets, I can't help but think that this could potentially be a Mekhi Becton type replacement. But I will say, for what it's worth up front, this is a guy that doesn't, at the forefront, fit our particular scheme. And you could probably say the same thing about a guy like Mekhi Becton. So either way, let's go ahead and dive into some of the particulars with him, jumping into some of Ryan's background. So 6'9", 319 pounds, absolutely crazy. Has a basketball background. Started the game his freshman year as a blocking tight end, which was interesting. There is going to be a little bit of an injury scare with a guy like this that we want to be cautious of at some point during his freshman year in the college career, or while preparing for it anyways. He had some kind of issue with going through like a heat stroke, so much so that it was so serious that he ended up going through kind of like a coma and then had to obviously work his way back into things. But he was able to take advantage of his second chance playing football. So that was great to see. Came in, was able to play a lot of special teams. Again, started the game as a blocking tight end. Got the versatility to be able to play left tackle and right tackle between his career, where he started things off at Virginia, a pass-heavy offense, and then made the decision to switch after the head coach left to UCF, a run-heavy offense. And he found a way to dominate, in both aspects for this team with what they wanted to primarily do. He was graded as one of the best pass protectors in 2020 and 2021 by PFF, and then he gets to UCF and he helped the team become one of the best offenses in the ACC. In fact, in 2022, his team rushed for over 200 plus yards in 9 out of their 12 games. So he definitely brings a lot of the pedigree about, having assisting in having and elevating a high-performing offense. It's not necessarily going to be in the case in the NFL. There's a reason why he went undrafted, but you love what he brings to the table. Now, kind of diving back a little bit into what I mentioned about his perfect scheme, it would probably be more so a power gap offense from everything that I've seen. Not what the New York Jets implement in any way, but we'll see if he can parlay his physical gifts into being able to, switch things up. And I think you kind of get that a little bit right. Going from a very pass-heavy offense to a very run-heavy offense is not as easy as you think. He definitely has the size and stuff for it, but we'll talk about right now some of the gifts and some of the things that'll drive you crazy about him as an offensive line coach and what we can look forward to with him. So obviously the length is going to stand out. He just has the natural size to where you would expect him to go out and dominate his opponent every single time they line up. He doesn't utilize his length to his full ability, though. We'll talk about kind of what goes wrong with him, which, for lack of better words, is basically everything. But you have, again, a lot of traits, a lot of things that you can get excited about and hopefully string together some strong developmental tendencies with them. Now, Durability obviously is going to be a big one. Outside of the heat stroke, that was really the biggest thing he suffered through. The only other thing I really saw was an ankle injury that nicked him up once or twice, and it wasn't anything that took him out for a multitude of games. Moves well on combo blocks, so he's not a guy that has the elite size and the athletic traits to match it, but he moves well enough. So switching from target 1 to target 2 on combo blocks, not much of a problem. He closes space quickly when he's trying to go out to meet rushers, hence his time in UCF in that rushing-oriented offense. Good core strength versus bull rushers, not something you would necessarily expect from some of these freakishly tall guys, right? There's going to be a lot of various issues that they struggle through. Has a solid inside shoulder against inside moves. Tends to want to force people to go the long way against him where he can maximize his arm length. Lands solid punches. Here's the boomer bust potential with a guy like Ryan here. If he makes contact first, it's over. Whoever he's lining up against, it's a wash on that particular play. If the defender can get the first meaningful contact, then 9 times out of 10, Ryan is capable of being beat because he lacks that technical refinement. Naturally strong anchor for a guy his size, and then he's capable of standing defenders up, which shouldn't be much of a surprise. If he makes that first contact, he can ragdoll you. He put you up in the air, give you the baby jumps, and land you back down. But also has the physical demeanor to where he wants to put you in a graveyard every single time he's out there. So gotta love those. Now, what is wrong with Ryan? Why does a guy with this size, why does a guy with these traits go undrafted? As I mentioned, one of the biggest points, which will scare anybody in the NFL, is that immediate 50-50 chance to win or lose a matchup. And I say 50-50 just because it does really depend on who makes that first meaningful contact. Outside of that, with the technical refinement that he's lacking, he gets beat by almost any and everybody. So here's some of the issues in his game. Obviously has that high center of gravity that he's trying to fight against. He has heavy feet. He can kind of keep them moving and churning, obviously, with the natural strength. But he's not a guy that you're going to say is just kind of dancing across the field when mirroring his opponent or try to beat somebody to an angle leverage-wise. He did improve for what it's worth during his pro day, though, versus what you see in the tape. Waist bending is going to cause some issues with him sticking to his defenders. That's going to be a huge one. If you're looking at Madden, this would be like the impact blocking, right? Terrible rating for him. He doesn't necessarily stick to his defenders all of the time, which can be very frustrating. Doesn't hold up along versus the edge well, right? So while he does force people to go outside, it doesn't take much for them to also beat him outside, which shouldn't really be the case. And that, mixes in the heavy feet with the fact that he probably is going to lose the initial hand battle. And so, all of that together just puts a really bad rep out there. Lacking quickness to really handle twists and stunts from opponents. So it's interesting that he does fairly well versus combo blocks, and then with these twists and stunts, he tends to struggle. So it might be an awareness issue. It might be something where he's a little bit more athletically limited in that regard, but should be an easier portion of his game to clean up. He is very studious, by the way, master's degree for himself, and I wish I jotted this down. I want to say it was called interdisciplinary studies that he got it in. No idea what that necessarily is. I have an idea off the top of my head. Doesn't matter though. But either way, he's smart enough to go out there and figure out, with game tape, how he can go out there and improve that particular area. Loses versus everything. So let's get into some of the details with that particular statement, right? He'll struggle against the power. He'll struggle against the speed guys. He'll struggle against anybody that has decent bend. He's going to lose a lot more leverage battles than he wins. And then anybody that just tends to show active hands, he's going to have problems with, right? So that's essentially the whole gambit of defenders that you're going to go against. He doesn't have anything in his arsenal that says, I generally can stop a guy that does this because I do this. And that's where the technical refinement or the lack of that comes in. Victim of body fakes, right? If you want to talk about even simple stuff like somebody doing like a head fake hezzy on him, he can tend to bite on that, leave him very exposed. Bad angles and pass protection. This is where I get concerned about him fitting our scheme. He's not going to be the guy that necessarily beats his man to the position to open up a lane for a defender. He'll either win his matchup if it's one-on-one, or he won't. Hopefully the fact that he does well doing combo blocks can help him out in this regard. But again, he's going to have a long road to looking like a even average NFL tackle right now. Lacks hand counters. If he loses that first meaningful contact, one of the things that is odd, considering how naturally strong he is and the size, is that he gets swiped away very quickly. It's very easy for, him to try to reach out to get somebody and for them to, Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off him, and it's over with for that rep. Choppy steps really negates a lot of his natural gifts. You haven't even, or I didn't get a chance anyways, and I haven't seen any scouting reports that mentioned it. You rarely, if at all, seen him put together, essentially a perfect rep on tape. Everything was either he out-physicaled somebody or he got washed on that particular play. Leans his shoulders rather than dropping his hips due to his high pad level. That's a lot of those leverage concerns with him as well. So, ultimately, to sum him up, he's facing a lot of the same problems any tall, overarching tackle in the NFL is going to have to struggle with. Now, where he's a lot more limited in than many of those guys coming into the NFL is that he's developed in certain regards in terms of using his physical abilities. He's never actually shown the ability to get better in what he's doing, right? I guess what I should be saying is that you never seen improvements in a major way in these different regards. Hand placement, the striking of his timing, his ability to be a little bit more light-footed when he's operating out there, the angles that he's taking in pass protection. So those are concerns, and I don't think it's that he couldn't do it. He did say that both his offensive line coaches between Virginia and UCF were some of the best in college football. But I would say at this point he's looked like a player that many people didn't quite know what to really do with him. Just let him go out there, use his size to his advantage, and call it a day. But I'm very excited for what his future can be. I hope we can hold on to him for 2 or 3 years and see what we can really make of him. But I'm still trusting a guy like Jason Poe over Ryan Swoboda right now. But let me know what your thoughts are. Is this another potential gem for us, right? Is this maybe the next Mekhi Becton type project for the New York Jets to see if they can fix? Or is this a guy that ultimately would just be a camp body? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.